And Mr. Porsch, thanks for taking some time to talk to us tonight. Obviously, a very busy one for you, I'm sure.
Yes, I spent before 9 o'clock. I spent about 4 hours picking up big and small yard signs all throughout Ovid, Interlaken, Town of Covert, Brownellis, and then drove back to Seneca Falls.
So I have to ask, given how close it is still, what is your outlook now moving forward? What are the next steps for you guys as you move forward?
Well, going forward, I'm going to work tomorrow morning. As you know, I'm prosecuting 2 huge murder cases. I have about 100 other pending cases that I'm working on. So I'm going to work tomorrow on my regular job as district attorney. They're going to count, I think, 750 at least, maybe 800 absentee ballots next Thursday. I'm ahead by exactly 100 votes. During the primary, I was present when they counted the absentee ballot there. I gained votes in the Democratic primary and the Republican primary during those counts. I'm hoping if I, hope that holds over here in the general election, that I gain a similar number of votes.
So I guess the obvious question here is just how much of a grind has it been over the last several months, having to really balance two separate efforts with not a lot of folks. Obviously, you have a couple family members or volunteers, that sort of thing, but you don't have a team driving your campaign or anything like that. How much of a balancing act is that?
I can tell you, Josh, it was extremely tough. You're right. I don't have a team. It's kind of like me and my wife. And, I worked all day, 8, 9, 10 hours and go out for a couple hours at night. And been doing that for 5 months now. And not having like an hour or two of free time. Like my wife and I haven't gone out to dinner in 5 months now, for an example. And like today was a county holiday. And I worked today. On my regular job, everybody else has gone out of the courthouse. I was there working because I have a lot of cases to work on and everything. So it's been really tough on me the last 5 months. Getting 4 or 5 hours sleep a night.
I would suggest tomorrow might be the night to go out to dinner.
It
might be time.
We're going to pick up yard signs in Seneca Falls and Waterloo when I wake up. So I actually am going to take a day off work, at least half a day off work. I do have some stuff I got to finish tomorrow, but we're going to pick up a bunch of yard signs. I had to respect the voters. They don't want to see yard signs up after the election.
Yes, agreed wholeheartedly. Speaking of voters, what were you hearing in terms of in the last week, 2 weeks? What were you hearing from voters that made you feel really confident or really good coming into today?
Well, my supporters were texting me and calling me and say, hey, you're doing good, you're going to win, those type of things. And then, my wife, she went to Mass. She's been going to Mass every day. And she has a lot of friends in church at St. Mary's and St. Patrick's. They've been telling her the same thing. I go to a different church here in Seneca Falls, and everybody there is kind of telling me the same thing. I don't go to bars or we haven't gone out to a restaurant in 6 months. I try to stay out of Walmart and grocery stores during the day, and for certain reasons. And so I haven't had a lot of contact there, but everything was positive in this race.
All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time to chat with us. I know you're probably tired, want to get some sleep, so enjoy the next 24 hours and the next week, all right?
Okay. Hey, great. Hey, thanks a lot, Finger One, for everything you do.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks,
Barry. So there you have it. One of the more significant races here in Seneca County. Obviously, now, assuming the results hold true from what we've seen, this will create a hole in the district attorney's office next year, which will have to be filled. And that is a race that already discussion has been moving pretty quickly in terms of you could be looking at 4, maybe 5 candidates running for that type of office, and that would introduce a whole new layer of election speed. That right. Just like last year in the DA's race, obviously Barry Porsch just won the district attorney's office last year. It'll be interesting to see that, along with all of the county races that are going to be taking shape next year. So big transition period over the next 12 months for sure.
Yeah, definitely, and an unexpected kind of set of races now that candidates need to be fielded for. Yeah,
and I do want to give a quick little update on the 54th Senate District. Senator Helming is extending her lead over Keenan Baldridge. And I think we are joined by David Ettman. David, thanks for taking the time to chat with us.
Hey, no problem, Josh. It's I'd rather have a slightly different tone in my voice, but it's real. We jokingly say in my family we're reality-based, and this is where we stand tonight.
So, all right. So let's talk about the results. Do you feel like there is a reasonable chance that the absentee ballots could go in your favor?
I think it's possible. I mean, we know we had a lot of ballots cast, the people that we know within the last couple of days, even the last 4 or 5 days before tonight. I mean, we're talking last Thursday, Friday, and even yesterday, and some we know that were mailed today. It's a tough call to make.
Yeah,
I'm looking forward to seeing them. Strange things can happen in absentee counts, and that's what we're looking forward to seeing. I'm not, at this point, it's there's nothing more that can be done, and so we just have to sit back and wait and see.
So now
my goal. Let me follow it. Basically, I knew how many absentee ballots are out. I know how many had come back in as of the other day, but I was always looking at it and the number that were out. We were figuring somewhere right between 800 and 900. I wanted to have a lead going in, of course, but it's not impossible to make up this difference.
So what?
We have to wait and see.
What did you see while you were out today? I'm assuming interacting with some voters, maybe obviously heading to a polling place yourself to cast your own ballot. What were you seeing, and did it make you feel optimistic about what was going on?
3 things that we saw, and this isn't necessarily sour grapes. I'm just going to flat out say it. We had momentum. We had, even just in terms of our social media work, people reaching out to me in the last couple of days that were very, very dismayed with how last week ended, and were very buoyed by the endorsements that we had and Judge Bender's comments. In a perfect world, I'd say we had a lot of momentum, and we just came up short on a few days of time. The race ended. It's a football game. It's not a baseball game, and so the time ran out on the clock, and that's where we are. And we have to take the numbers that we have. I wish I could sum it up better than that, but like I said, we just had a lot of people in the last week realize exactly what was going on in this campaign and saw that there was a viable alternative to what appears to be the person leading the race right now.
So then, I guess the follow-up question to that is: is that part of the motivation of staying in the race? The folks who have obviously reached out to you in the last several days and shown their support, is that the reason why you keep grinding forward?
Well, I mean, like I said, there's nothing I can do. I mean, there is no grinding forward. We wait till next Tuesday and open a lot of envelopes. There's no drama left. There's no campaigning left. I can't campaign for absentee ballots. I can't go to the street and say, hey, can you go back and change your vote? It is clear. It's just simply a matter of, we, in terms of the actual votes cast, we ended up short of the end zone. That's as simple as that. Sports metaphor is not always applicable, but this one is. Mm-hmm. We'd have preferred to have scored in the last day and taken a lead going into the end of the game when you don't have some things. But that's, like I said, we're reality based, and this is where we stand. And so the only choice we have is to sit back and wait for the absentee ballots to come in.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to chat with us tonight. Obviously, not the best outcome for you, but I'm sure a lot of your supporters are very happy to hear that you're going to keep.
I will say this, point blank. When I started talking to a few people back in the end of February, first part of March, just to get an idea, I was basically told you have no chance. You cannot beat a standing district attorney who came off his election like he did last year. And I said we can try, and we set our plan. We set our sights. We decided what we wanted to do. We knew what the rules in a judicial campaign are about. We know what judicial ethics were about. We know what financial disclosure was about. And we ran our race. And I'm proud of it. I'm proud of how we ran the race. I am proud of the people that understood where we stood, that this race should have been about experience. It should have been about knowledge. It should have been about respect. It should have been about judicial integrity, general integrity. And those are factors that I believe are critical. And we've done what we can to bring that out. Unfortunately, we're also in a very turmoil-ridden political environment that makes it difficult for some people to look beyond labels and where we are. And so I tried to do the best I could. I'm very happy with what we did. I quite frankly, when the financial disclosures are finally made by one of my opponents, I'm sure we'll see that the amount of money that was spent by my opponents will dwarf or will make me seem insignificant on the amount of money that we spent in our campaign. Not necessarily by design, but by practicality. It's just one of those things, and I don't want to sound like I'm saying sour grapes, because frankly we would not have spent much more money than what we spent if I had to do it over again. We ran the campaign that we wanted to run, how we wanted to run it, and unfortunately we ran a few days short. So Josh, I really appreciate it. I've just been inside thanking all my friends who've worked with me on this campaign, and we're looking forward to seeing the results a week from tonight.
All right. Well, thanks for taking the time again, and I'm sure we'll be talking to you soon.
All right. Thank you. Have a good evening. Bye-bye.
Right. And that is a lot to unpack there. If we were going to be having a lengthy discussion about that, we'll save that one for the next debrief podcast. But there again, a lot of the undertones that we hear all the time. Financial disclosures, obviously the money in campaigns is something that concerns a lot of people. It doesn't matter if it's a race for a legislative seat or if it's a race for, in this case, county court judge. It matters to people, and even to the candidates, the people who are running themselves. It creates a dynamic that's difficult sometimes to overcome. And in this case, David Ettman put up about as strong a fight as one could possibly put up, given the picture that he painted, or that was painted for him, if you just go back to February. Right.
Yeah, and I do think that we'll revisit this issue of campaign finance, not necessarily in this particular race, but in a lot of these races, the final financial disclosure, which doesn't become public until well after the election, is sometimes very illuminating to understand what was kind of at work